Howdy do, fellow kids.
All right, you assholes.
You're fulfilling your destiny. Become my apprentice. Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
I will do whatever you ask.
Good.
I pledge myself to your teachings.
Good.
I am not obliged to, that is, to address a point that doesn't pertain to the subject that I previously stated.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now?
Words are flowing out like woke Mary Sue objective truth. They don't mean much, but nothing ever does across the grift of
Bring organized chaos on.
I'm sorry, I can't bite my tongue anymore. I'm tired of fucking idiots. I'm tired of them. Stop listening to these channels that are making you more stupid.
Actual fandom loves to make memes. He is an expert, highly skilled. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement.
Fuck off, Hitler.
What kind of American are you?
And you can do it too. You can do it too. You can do Miles Morales tweets.
fuck you.
Because they're like engagement gold.
Their engagement crack.
Just fuck you.
Oh my God, I'm huge. Hey, there we go. Yeah. All right. Hello, welcome. Got some other guys here. Whenever they're ready to come on, they'll come on. I don't want to force anything on them. You know, just at your leisure, fellas. There you go. Okay. That's okay. If you're not ready, Bob, that's all right. Hey, how y'all doing?
What's happening?
What is fucking happening, man? We got some stuff to discuss.
Really? I thought we were just gonna BS for a couple hours.
I mean, usually the show's kind of a bit of both of those. You know, kind of.
True.
I think a good show is like a balance of those. Maybe I don't know. That's just
what
I didn't really think about it.
I thought a good show was just cat.
Was what?
Cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gordy, come here. Be useful. For fuck's sake.
I
He's
swear
just
to God,
looking
you
at
can. Like, I'm just sitting here getting ready for stream, just sitting here, and like he's not doing anything. And the second the stream starts rolling, he's like, "Bam!" He's like,
See, a long time ago, Gordy learned not to fuck with me like right when the stream is starting because he used to try to do that when he was a kitten. But now what he does because he knows he can't like get my attention away from it is he'll just start meowing and wanting to go out the fucking door and beating on the door and stuff. It's pretty awesome. Thanks, Gordy. But he's chill now, so it's all good. How you guys? You guys chill?
yeah. I mean, the grifter sphere is pissing me off as usual, but outside that, I'm fine.
Nerdrotic has definitely got a couple of fucking irons in the fire on the whole.
Oh my God.
Thing right now.
Nerdrotic, who is that? I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Is this a new fellow? Is this?
Will?
I haven't watched any of his content for like 7 years. Like he seemed like a reasonable guy. He seemed like a.
He's just a guy that loves movies and TV shows.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, he used to. Last video I saw, he was talking about the new Rings of Power show that had just been announced.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that that's probably going to be pretty bad, and they're going to make Aragorn a woman or something. It was a weird take, but maybe he just had an off show, and
maybe.
That's probably it.
So, did we manage to change any of the titles, or they're all just the same thing right now? Okay, yeah, all right.
I have no idea.
Well, if you didn't do it, then I didn't do it, then nobody did it. That's my fault. But I can show the other thumbnails that nobody's seeing because that'll give everybody an idea of what show we're going to be doing here. There's this one. Reports coming out about this whole thing, the Snow White show.
We'll have to see. We're getting more reviews, and they're not quite as glowing. But yeah, we can go over it.
I've seen people saying that like the worst thing, the weird thing is that the seven dwarves are CG, which I'm like, yeah, that is fucking weird.
I've actually heard that Rachel Zegler is the best part of the movie.
Right, that's what I've heard. That's even if the movie's
been the
great,
argument the guys have made is that Gal Gadot is fine, but Rachel Zegler is going to be the worst part. We're hearing the exact opposite of that, which is that Rachel Zegler is the standout in the movie, and Gal Gadot is particularly bad as the.
Well, let me ask you guys a question that's kind of like devil, Chud's advocate. I'll call it, okay? Because they're definitely going to say this, right? But like, how much of this might be because there's a lot of people aware of the controversy, right, with this movie and Rachel Zegler and shit like that. So how much of that might be people that are like kind of forcing it, like, no, she's the greatest.
Well, I mean, if they were saying it before the movie came out, then chances are they're just forcing it because there's no way they could have known.
Yeah.
There was no standard for this with her as an actress. So yeah. I would say that 99% of the people that have been saying it are just doing it because.
Okay.
I will say I thought Rachel Zegler was good in the Hunger Games prequel. I thought she was good. Actually, she was excellent in the West Side Story remake, which was an excellent movie.
One of those.
Overall,
I've literally only seen her in her clips that get passed around and called cringe. So.
Yeah, I'm not a massive. So the thing is, and I never said this in my videos, but I wasn't like a huge, or still aren't I'm not a huge Rachel Zegler fan, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
I know very little about what she's done, but I will say the hate for her feels manufactured because she doesn't do enough. No offense to her, she doesn't do enough as an actor to have the level of influence that these guys think that she has.
I think what it is that they're trying to cauterize her career essentially, right? They're trying to fucking cut it off before it really gets going because
but they don't believe in cancel culture, Dane.
Right.
Well, didn't you hear when she was being interviewed during the strikes? She said she wants to get paid for her work.
Right.
Oh, what a commie!
Yeah. What the fuck? No.
What a feminist! I guess I don't know, but yeah, like the stuff she said about Snow White, the original, which is it's on point, honestly. Like, I mean, look, just full disclosure, I have not seen a single Disney live action remake, not one. I have no interest. And then, like, whenever they started coming out, and then they're hearing they're pretty bad, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just not going to watch these fucking things.
Yeah.
Right. However, if this one, I don't know, I probably won't watch this either. It partly has to do with I don't want to see a remake of stuff I've seen, and I'm not a child, but also I don't care for musicals. So,
well, I mean. That's the thing is, I think of these as not. I'm not the target audience for these movies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird that a bunch of 45-year-old men are so fucking invested in this movie.
Well, it's not only that, but it's weird that a bunch of older men that wouldn't have gave a shit about the original movie are so invested in this, because those original films, we at no point were ever the real target demographic for these princess movies. We just weren't.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's like, if you love them, that's fine. But I don't believe for a second that any of these guys gave a shit about Disney princess movies at all.
I think the closest we would get with our age bracket was Aladdin. Was probably the original Aladdin was probably
When I say princess movies, I
that's
mean
about it.
Me, it's the ones where clearly the princess character is the lead character of the movie.
Yes.
Whereas like Aladdin, I feel like that was, and like Toy Story, movies like that sort of cross over the line of like what the target demographic is. But I would say Disney movies with the princess as the lead character is not geared towards like 50-year-old men.
No,
it's just not.
Well, no, it's geared towards young girls of the modern age of the current fucking day, right? And that's what they took issue with, was that she was talking about updating the original story to be more in line with, values have progressed a bit since what was it, 1939 when the original animation came out.
37.
37. And so she was. I just read the quotes of what she had said. It was like, we don't need to have a stalker Prince guy that I think didn't he like kiss her while she's sleeping? It's just like weird undertones with that shit.
But that's also different from the original story. The original story was even weirder than that one. So it's like they're changing it up a lot to make it more. I know modern is like oh, we can't say modern, we can't say current day or whatever. But they're making it make sense for people that are going to watch movies now. You know what I mean?
It's a very capitalist move that these capitalists seem to not like.
I mean, Snow White and a lot of the older ones actually kind of make sense to remake to some degree, just because they're so dated. When they're remaking Little Mermaid and a lot of the newer ones, it makes a lot less sense to me. Because
yes, I agree with that.
We have a pretty it's not like they're that dated. But like Snow White's very dated, so I see an argument to go ahead and remake that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I see an argument there.
But also, I want to point out that they do these things for merchandising reasons. They want to have more toys to sell at Disney World and Disneyland. They want to have more options to print merch and stuff like that. It's all capitalism at the end of the day. I mean, that's what these things are. And every once in a while, you get a shining star where the person that made it had an opportunity to really make something great because of it being bankrolled by a large company. But it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, I would say the live action remakes, my favorite is Jungle Book, and that's just because it kind of took liberties and Jon Favreau kind of did his own thing with it. It wasn't a complete hit, but it was fine.
I don't know. It's somebody mentioned Brie Larson and how they're trying to do this. Like, that's exactly what they're doing, right? Like, they don't really care. Like, they've convinced their audience to care about this dumb shit, but the grifters themselves, they just want Brie Larson 2.0 when they had a full year of just easy fucking clickable content with Brie Larson's name on it.
I want to am I just imagining this? But I want to put this out into the world. Is there are certain movies that I don't think are affected by these chuds, right? Like Barbie was zero. There was zero impact from their opinion about Barbie when it comes to ticket sales. Whereas the Marvels, because it was a superhero property, they sort of did want to take some sort of claim for the failure of that movie. And I would argue there was other issues with why that movie underperformed, but they would say, oh, it's because we called them out or whatever. What's another recent movie that they tried to come after that it didn't impact? There was a couple of them over the last year. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Yeah, I'm not remember. I mean, it all just kind of blends together.
Well, my point is though that like movies like this movie, like Snow White, the people that are the target audience for this film probably aren't watching Chud channels. I would say if like the young kids, or they shouldn't be, the young kids who want to see this movie aren't watching Nerdrotic and Ryan Cannell. However, they're hoping, because they don't give a fuck about kids, even though they say they do, they don't. They're hoping that a kid will search for Snow White on YouTube and find one of their fucking brain rot videos. That's what they're hoping will happen. And it's possible, because YouTube doesn't have any guardrails for shit like that. But I just don't think that they're the target audience. I think that the people that watch their content were not going to ever watch this movie anyway. So them not going to see it I mean, it's not like Disney was banking on that. You know what I mean?
I posted something about this whenever the news started coming out about the reviews. I posted on the community post about it. It was like, oh, I wonder what they're going to say. If this turns out to be good or whatever, or people like it rather, because I don't care. I don't give a shit. And somebody commented and was like, here's the truth is, what they say, I could go look at it, but it's really dumb. It just boils down to, that movie was doomed from the moment she opened her mouth and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, you really think that, huh? You think that these guys saying the stuff that they're saying about this stuff, I don't know, this is like everybody, and that everybody's aware of what these fucking guys are saying. I don't think so.
But I want to know why they're saying it about this movie. Let's really think about this, okay? When they're talking about movies like Superman, Batman, the Marvels, video game adaptations, things like that, their angle is they want those things to be better because they're fans of those things, and therefore their criticism, according to them, is helping to course correct that stuff, whatever the nebulous message is, whatever bullshit they come up with, that week. What will their complaining do to fix princess movies for them? Well, I mean, why are they latching onto this? This has no cultural relevance to them other than Rachel said something that hurt their feelings.
I think they're just generally grifting on Disney as much as possible. Right. And these movies do have a fan base and a popularity. There are.
But what I'm saying though is if their goal is to make things that they love good again, which is what they are complaining about, this doesn't fall into that criteria.
But that's not their goal, really.
Because their goal is to make outrage.
No, we know that. But what I'm saying is the people that watch them, what is their incentive to continue to engage with Rachel Zegler videos?
I mean, I have to imagine that if you're somebody that follows this content and takes it seriously, that you're not thinking in a very specific, like clear-minded way about what your goal is all the time, right? Like all just reacting and shit. I don't know.
I get it. I get it. I guess I'm trying to rationalize the irrational behavior of this. Yeah. But like, if you have your viewers convinced that what you're doing is a cultural movement, which is what these guys are, talking about and saying all the time, you have to be very specific about what that goal is. I feel like they have lost the plot for what their movement is. And maybe it was a long time ago, but going after Rachel Zegler over a Snow White movie seems so detached from fixing any problems with movies and TV shows that they would tune in for. Because let's be clear here, none of them would be lining up to go see this movie anyway, even if it weren't Rachel Zegler in the movie.
I guess if I was going to play Chud's advocate, the second time I've said that, so I'm going to make it a thing. I would say that it's like, they must be seeing it as the grifters are. I guess they're presenting themselves as like purists. They're film purists. It's like, it doesn't even matter. This isn't for them. It's about the history of film and this important movie. Of course, they don't say anything like that, but I guess that's the vibe they're trying to give off. Maybe that they want to make sure that this historical film.
I mean, do their viewers really believe that they care about film as a whole? Like, do they really think that's what they feel about? Because they don't cover everything. Angles.
I mean,
they pick and choose.
I mean, EFAP did bring YMS on because he was questioning whether or not Critical Drinker actually cared about movies. They're like, yes, he absolutely cares about movies. They were arguing that point. So, I mean, that is part of their angle. Like,
yeah, but I mean, like that might be their angle, but in practice, that's not it, right? Like that's not what they do.
No, it's not at all.
So if you break all that down, if you like boil it down to what it is, there really is only one reason why they're doing this, and it's because they want to go after a woman. They want to go after her and ruin her career.
There's more to it. If you think about them as a force that engages in action and speech that benefits MAGA, which it does.
Yes,
that's true. So therefore, a attempt at cultural revision. Then they're trying to make sure that this remake of a classic film that had a dude who was in control and he was really the star of the show and he got to make out with the chick while she's sleeping against her consent. Like all the stuff that they, I guess, think is a good thing. And this new one's going to come along and teach young people, young girls in particular, these new values, these updated values about what it means to be a girl or whatever the fuck. And so like they're also trying to kill that. And they recognize because it's Snow White, it's going to be a big movie, right?
Right. So I want to say, yes, this is not me being ignorant to like the real goal behind everything they do. What I'm trying to discern is how they rationalize between themselves and their audience on what things they pick and choose to complain about. Now, we know it's because of the algorithm. We know it's because they astroturf films that they want to see fail. We know this. But what I'm trying to do, I guess, is break down that connection they have with their audience and what their audience believes they're doing. Because at a certain point, if you don't believe that you're actually out here trying to make change by engaging with this content, then it is simply entertainment for you and you don't stand on any of the values that you say you have. And that's really what this is for me. Like, this whole Snow White thing is a breakdown of values over making money and continuing outrage for me.
So what it is, I think, is like, so I'm watching the Nerdrotic stream where and we'll talk about this topic too, where he had that Bowler Jack guy on, right? And whenever the stream started, and then Chris Gore started talking about oh, Stan isn't even in the Marvel movies anymore because he's dead, and there's just something missing now ever since Endgame or whatever, and one of the things is Stan Lee's not in them anymore,
right?
And he's like saying that as if it's like a negative against the films overall, and then he also brings up
because Stan Lee was the writer and director of all the Marvel movies before.
But then he also brings up how he's like, and at the beginning, the Marvel logo, it used to be comic book art, and now it's not. It's like just seeing pictures from the movies, and it's just like, ugh. And I realized when he said that, I'm like, wait, why the fuck is he talking about that? And I'm like, oh, that's right, because their whole point is just to say whatever they can that might latch into somebody's brain about it. Like, oh, you used to like that comic book art, right? Well, it's not even there anymore because it's fucking bad. So like, it really doesn't, they're just saying everything they can that might be something that somebody needs to hear to latch onto the narrative, right?
Right.
And so I think that's, whether you see them as being film purists that are trying to save film, or you see them as culture warriors who are trying to keep brown men in their place and not let them play, Snow White or mermaids or whatever, then, that you can see them as whatever you want to. Whatever your interest is, they're going to provide that for you.
So these guys care about Stan Lee, then, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Right. Except they don't actually care about Stan Lee because they platformed someone that didn't give a shit about him while he was still alive.
Yeah, I wanted to show. Let me show just the beginning of my video from the other day. It's like not even a minute or something, but like it's just a kind of preview of the video itself, and it's still the most egregious thing that I covered at that point. That was before I learned more shit, but. Embark on a thrilling, one-of-a-kind tour through Los Angeles with filmmaker Jonathan Bolerjack as he takes you to key locations featured in the Stan Lee documentary. Visit places where bribes were offered, schemes were plotted, and millions went missing. Stories that have never been told until now. This is the chance to walk in the footsteps of Stan Lee's incredible journey, uncovering the dark and fascinating moments that shaped the legend's final year. This is so fucking deranged, man. Hey guys, are you a big fan of Stan Lee?
Yeah.
Do you want to see where he was abused and exploited? You can go to all the best locations where Stan Lee was fucking treated like, a human money machine by these pieces of shit. And I just stood there and filmed it. Like, that's the biggest perk in the reward system on Kickstarter. That if you, I think like $500 or something, you get to go on a tour of LA and see all the spots that are in the movie where Stan Lee's being abused.
The Elder Abuse Tour. It's like, what? Fuck. This is where Stan Lee was ripped off for $1,000 while he was sleeping. It's like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, the good news is that at least yesterday, so I covered it Friday, and then I covered it again yesterday with updated info on the guy himself, because I didn't know much about him Friday. Holy shit, dogs, come on. The Kickstarter had only gained about $3,000. So it was at like 61,000 Friday night, and then it was at 65,000 yesterday. And they're going for $300,000, and it's all or nothing. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this thing is going to fucking fall flat. And because
I mean, the thing is, didn't he already have the film made? Isn't it already done? So
exactly. And then you go look at the list of shit on there that he's saying that needs to be paid for, and it's like a crew, stages built, stuff like that. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Stages being built and feeding a crew and paying, like, and then all the different, he breaks down every aspect of editing video as if it's a thing he's got to hire somebody to do, whenever it's like he's a professional editor.
Right.
That's what his job is, right? Or other than fucking selling Stan Lee comics. He's a big piece of shit, and I fucking hope bad things happen to him, to be honest. But we
I
could look into
agree.
that. You guys haven't looked at it yet. We could look. I pull up the either the video or the Reddit post. Some hero, he's only got a few hundred subs on YouTube. Made a video outlining all this stuff, and then also posted all of the individual receipts on a post on Reddit. And it's a fucking salute to that guy. But yeah, that's what we looked at yesterday. And I mean, I couldn't even wait. I was just at first I was like, well, we'll talk about it on the Shillcast. And I'm just sitting here fucking stewing, reading the information that I'm like, oh my God, this guy's been extracting money from Stan Lee's name for like about a decade before he died.
Right.
And then he died, and it seems like he kind of had a surplus of Stan Lee signed merch and comics that he kind of probably lived off of for 7 years or so. And then he probably started running out of shit to sell. And then he goes, well, what do I have? Oh, I've got all this footage. Well, but why would anybody want to see all this footage? Oh, yeah, because, you know, the exploitation. That's what it seems like to me, to be honest.
Yeah. You had one thing of Stan Lee left to sell. Let's sell it.
Yeah. I mean,
I just can't imagine being someone who is a fan of Stan Lee and seeing that this guy stood by while all of this happened. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pay to watch this. It's just morbid. It's really morbid.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it seems like, you know, Nerdrotic's audience felt the same way, or at least a good bit of them. They were rejecting it on Twitter. I saw many replies of people that are like, dude, I've watched all the time, and this is the first stream I've ever had to downvote. I was like, wow. Crossed the line for Nerdrotic's audience. That's pretty crazy.
Wow, that's
I would have thought the
unexpected.
more
Actually,
praise you get, the more that they praise you. But that's you know one hot button issue, I guess.
Yeah.
So
no,
there's a post on Reddit called in r/comic books called "A Warning About John Bolerjack." God, there's a lot of stuff here. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, warning about Jonathan Bolerjack, the guy behind the Stan Lee documentary. So we heard about the Kickstarter for Stan Lee, the final chapter. We're also aware that the campaign is a way to profit off Stan after his passing. That Jonathan Bolerjack, the director of the documentary, isn't making this move for altruistic purposes. However, what many people aren't aware of is that Jonathan's history of profiting off Stan, having him sign artwork for him to sell, using his likeness to promote his artwork in convention booths, taking extravagant trips with Stan, going to Tokyo Disney and eating at notoriously pricey Club 33, selling signed copies or signed comics and memorabilia given to him by Stan for large amounts of money after his passing, contributing photographs he took of Stan to be used as NFTs. God, that's gross. Jonathan was still partaking in the same manipulation and exploitation of Stan for profit as the other leeches in Stan's circle, yet act like he has the moral high ground on them.
So the difference between him and then the two guys that were chiefly responsible for the exploitation and abuse of Stan was, first it was Max Anderson for several years. He's the guy that in the trailer here, you'll see him quite a bit. He's a darker fella, kind of heavier set. Then there's the last couple of years, though, after they got rid of Max Anderson, there was Kia Morgan, who's also a real piece of shit. I don't know how these people just fucking glom their way onto Stan Lee, and I really would like to know how that happens.
Yeah.
But I also know there's a story from I think the late 90s or early 2000s where Stan was kind of a little bit cocky with his ideas, and whenever he had an idea, I mean, look, he created fucking Spider-Man, all the list of characters he created that were massive hits. So I get it, but he would get an idea, and then he would kind of just start trying to do the idea, and he would whoever he could reach out to help him, implement the thing. He would work with that person, and so he somehow got hooked up with a guy when he came up with an idea to do web comics. This is before web comics were really a thing, he got with this guy who fucking just stole a shitload of money from Stan and screwed him over. And so he had a history of being a little bit naive to the people that were around him, I think. That was when he was younger and not pushing death's door. Nonetheless, like, this guy seems like he wasn't the one carting Stan around, right? He wasn't the one literally putting him in a car and making him go to the cons that he didn't want to go to, and poking him with a stick when he would start to fall asleep, signing autographs, that kind of thing. Being a little bit hyperbolic there. I don't think they poked him with sticks. maybe. But like this guy was definitely benefiting from that shit happening, even though he was making it happen. So that's like he's that much slightly not as big a piece of shit as the people that were actively exploiting him. He was just, well, while they're exploiting him, I might as well get some shit out of it too.
Right.
A lot of shit. Also, I haven't looked into it yet. This video that's on the screen right there, that you see, that's Roy Thomas right there in the middle of those three guys. Apparently, Roy Thomas is also in a similar situation with some people where his caretakers are fucking pieces of shit that are exploiting him. I don't know the details, but I saw something about it. I'm gonna have to look into it. Protect our old man,
Yeah. Let's see. Do we want to go over the Reddit post or do we want to go over the video?
Well, I mean, it's all the same exact information. In fact, the Reddit post has links whenever there's something that John says that only thing that he didn't do was time code it properly. But he did put the time codes in the post, so you just have to find them yourself. So yeah, he before he met Stan, he was working in a comic book shop, and he describes himself in these videos, this interview with these guys, as a hustler, as what he's doing with going and getting. And I've done it. I talked about this yesterday. The first couple of cons that I went to, I would bring comics that I knew where I could get signed by somebody that was going to be there, so that I could sell those comics. I don't do that anymore because I've kind of developed, I guess, my ethics a bit more. And I was being a little piece of shit when I was younger. I was like, oh, so and so is going to be there. I can get them to sign this, and I can sell that comic, right? So that's basically how this guy made his living for a lot of years before he ever met Stan. So he's somebody that fully understands. My microphone's all fucked up. Sorry if I sounded weird. He fully understands the market of comic books, resale market. He fully understands the value of Stan Lee's signature. And, so him presenting himself the way he does in this documentary is like, I was his assistant and, his driver or whatever. It's like, no, he literally admits in this interview that he, in his words, Trojan horsed himself into Stan Lee's life. That's how he describes it. He had a friend that was working with Stan, and he's like, oh, I want to talk to Stan about doing a reality show or whatever. And then, I made friends with Stan. Turns out he's a nice guy. Yeah, I bet. Turns out you were benefiting quite a bit from it. But like, I'm sure he didn't mistreat him. I'm sure he was friendly to Stan, made Stan feel, warm and taken care of and stuff like that. I'm not saying he mistreated him, but like his intentions were definitely, yeah. I don't know. How do you guys want to do it? Do you want to watch the video? Read the post?
You're what? Sorry, you're breaking up there?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you, Bob. Sorry, you're breaking
I was just saying, I'm just bringing up the clip that was referenced so we can watch it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Cool. You want to do it? You got
it? Well, let's see. Hopefully my internet connection holds, but yes. In theory,
I can do it. If it's an issue.
Okay.
Or a potential issue.
And I never know.
You know who the people are.
So
you're already on it. Shit. You're right.
So I think it said 9:25.
9:25. No.
All right.
You get the remark on there and stuff. But what I also saw that I thought was pretty cool when we were in Texas, there was that girl and that other kid. They were like a young. Remember that?
Yeah. I still talk to them. Yeah.
I thought they were together, but they're kind of together. But
yeah.
I love the fact that they were kind of traveling around and trying to make a buck too, trying to, on the fringe.
Well, yeah, that was the first time I'd seen it. I mean, I'm going to be turning 40 this year, so I guess I have to sort of admit that I'm not necessarily young anymore. But I used to be like I used to be one of the youngest people in the room, sort of trying to hustle. And I did notice that as the older I got, I was still the youngest person. So, I was 30, I was 35, and I never really saw anyone kind of like younger than me sort of hustling. Cause you see, everyone at the shows, who the people are, and so it was kind of, and they're whatnot people.
So I really want to, you guys to consider what he's saying and what it tells you about this is, his relationship to this stuff. He did this enough that he knew the community of people that would go around doing it as well. Strangers, essentially, but they're people that just go to cons all over the country to, pick up signed comics or whatever the hell valuables that they could then flip and make money, make a profit off of. That's how much he was into this, into this shit. Is like there's just, oh hey, there's that guy, it really and it gets worse, once you hear more. But yeah, so you heard him describe himself as a hustler there. He was hustling, and so of course he saw Stan and saw an opportunity. He is also, by the way, a CGC I think it's officiator, I don't remember the exact term, facilitator. So he's a grader for CGC Comics, which means that like, for example, one of the perks, or several of the perks on the Kickstarter, is these exclusive quote unquote comic books through different how, if anybody that buys comics knows that their comic shops will have exclusives for their shop, like an exclusive cover that somebody did for that shop. So he's got a bunch of those, and it's this comic quote, big quote, called Captured Hero, and it's really just a bunch of photographs of Stan Lee that he took. It's not a comic book at all, it's photographs. Captured Hero. It's fucking disgusting. Anyway, so he's got one for his shop that he works at as well, an exclusive. And so presumably, if you get if you put in the money for this fucking Kickstarter and you get one of these exclusive comics, and probably all of the others too, the other stores that have pitched in, he's probably going to be grading some of these comics, which he gets a cut of for every one that he does.
Yeah.
So he's like triple dipping into this shit. You know what I mean? It's disgusting how much this guy is fucking.
But we're supposed to believe that he cares about Stan Lee.
Yes, he's the only one who does.
Right.
Yeah. He's extracting wealth from Stan Lee's corpse.
I know it's hard to believe for a lot of people out there, but there are people like this who, when they're in the act of doing something, they realize what they're doing and they know what that means for them later on. So I fully believe that someone who has the foresight to get signatures on merchandise to sell later on knew that the footage they were getting was also going to be valuable later on.
Yeah.
Like he knew that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fucked up thing is he's admitted it, even on Nerdrotic stream, where that's the one where he should have been trying to present himself as like, I'm a guy who cared about Stan Lee. And I'm not trying, but I don't think he knows how to not just, kind of give it away, because if one of the first things he says on Nerdrotic stream is that he funded the documentary, which he says it's funded by selling comic books. So he's like, that's two things right there that he really, if he was trying to grift, he shouldn't have said those things, because he shouldn't have said that he already funded the documentary that he's now asking for $300,000 for. And he shouldn't have said that, he's done it by selling comics, because yeah. But I mean, good on him for giving himself away.
Yeah.
So it was sort of
he's finished the movie, but he's like, I'm going to try to essentially get more money out for this anyway, even though it's done, just because I like money.
My theory is I legit believe that he became addicted to living off of Stan Lee and doesn't know how to do anything else.
Right.
And not just living off of him, but flying around the world and like living high off of Stan Lee.
What was his actual position with Stan Lee? What was the title of his position?
So, like I said, he'd approached Stan to do a reality show. As he describes it, this was 2015 when everybody was getting a reality show. And so he said, well, I'm going to see if, and that's when he actually says that. So I figured I'm going to Trojan horse myself into Stan Lee's life by saying, hey, let's do this reality show.
Right.
And Stan agreed. And then whatever he says his business partners, his producers kind of went off on other projects, didn't want to do it, but they decided to start doing it, filming for a documentary or something like that. And then so he ended up just kind of staying around. Stan was such a nice guy and all this stuff. And it's
so
like, yeah.
He didn't have, I guess what I'm getting at is he was never officially like a handler or an assistant or anything like that. He just was this guy hanging around filming all the time.
I think he became that. It's like with this type of positions, I think that there's not, that's how you ended up with the two pieces of shit that were, in charge of Stan's life, is they're not official. That's not their job otherwise. It's just somebody that kind of ended up in the right spot and took, I guess, some degree of care.
What a piece of shit though. Like what a garbage individual. Let's not, I don't want to baby around this. Like this guy admitted that his entire purpose with this was misleading from the beginning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
From the very start. So this is not a person who cares about, this is behavior of someone that cares about themselves. That's what this is.
Oh yeah.
This is not someone that cares about other people.
Now, if he cared about Stan Lee, he would have been reporting it as soon as he had video evidence. He would have reported it and got him out of that situation.
So that's one of the things that I
could.
think that's what happened. I don't have all the facts about what happened with that Nerdrotic stream, but so it was taken down pretty much after it aired, right? The stream was privated, and I thought that's what kind of really drew my interest into this. I was like, what the fuck? Why would they do that? Because the tweet is still up promoting the stream before it started.
Right.
And Nerdrotic calls him his friend. That's weird. And then I found an uploaded version of the stream, and I'm like, looked at the time of that, and then found the time of the original stream, and they're the same time. So nothing was really cut from the stream itself. And I'm like, so what does that mean? What were they trying to remove? The chat.
Yeah.
They removed the chat because there's so many people, I'm guessing, there's so many people demanding that he explain why he didn't fucking do anything.
Yeah. So you go through and you any sort of like changes to your video, even the tiniest thing, the chat disappears. You lose the chat.
Yes, and that's a effect of YouTube. Like when you do an edit, chat disappears. When you're using a StreamYard setup, it's very easy to just make chat disappear. Like I use an OBS setup, and that's a bit tougher because it's hard coded into the actual video. But like,
well, I actually did that too.
Be gone.
On my streams now, I have a chat that runs next to me now on my camera. So when I'm medium sized or full size, you can still see the chat, because I hate that chat disappears. I don't want chat to disappear. So
yeah, just because some bullshit gets claimed and you don't want to fight it, chat disappears. It's kind of bullshit.
I mean, sometimes I guess you do want chat to disappear. Like,
I guess when you're grifting, you gotta be able to control the narrative, right? So
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that Nerdrotic was like, oh, what do we do? Or suddenly my audience is like having an ethical backbone. I don't get it. What?
Right.
I guess we just like take the stream down.
I mean, I guess to a degree, I understand his concern, because since when does his audience have an ethical backbone? By the way,
so there is a too
far.
There is a too far. He actually hit the wall. Like this is normally there's a door for every wall that he hits. This one there wasn't one
specific wall, and I think it's that he felt like he was safe, and it was safe for him to do this and to kind of he's paying lip service to giving a shit about Stan. Like he says, oh, this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. Meanwhile, if you watch him introducing him and the guy and the documentary and stuff, he's almost got a grin on his face the whole time, Gary.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking demented. And like at one point he says, after they watch the trailer, he says, I understand that's probably a hard watch for some people. And I'm like, but not you, huh, Gary?
Well, yeah, Gary sold his soul a while ago.
I also want to point out that like these are people that don't care about other people in general. So why would we assume they give a shit about Stan Lee as an individual? Like these are the same guys who have no issue coming down on every marginalized community in the country. But Stan Lee, it's like all of a sudden now we care. Now we care.
Stan Lee was explicit about this stuff too. He was pro all of this stuff that they hate. And they know that. They can't. It's not like they just aren't aware of what Stan Lee said about this stuff. They just don't care. It's just that they're using whatever they can on any given day, at any given moment, to fit their fucking agenda. Just like with like I mentioned, Chris Gore going, they don't even have comic book art in the Marvel Cinematic Universe logo anymore. Like,
right.
It's not something anybody genuinely cares about. You only mention that if you're.
Well, didn't they say the comic books are shit now? So I mean, why do they care if the comic books are in the logo? They've said all of it is bad. So what difference does that make at all? They forgot where they came from. You guys have rejected stuff from the comics. You rejected Sam Wilson as Captain America. You've rejected Ms. Marvel. You've rejected Captain Marvel. You've rejected Young Avengers. They've rejected everything. So why does it matter if the flips in the fucking logo are the movies or the comic books? Why does that matter?
Silly thing to fucking even bring up. It's like it just comes off like reaching for something, right? Like it's different now. Right, guys? All right, so from 2015 to 2017, John would have Stan sign his artwork to sell at his booth. So he's done, I guess he's been an inker. He's an inker. He's worked for DC before. But he said he didn't make any money doing that. Like in this post promoting John's appearance at Comic Cave in April 2015. Oh, and did we mention Livio and John also have most of their artwork signed by the Stan Lee? So he was getting his artwork signed by Stan Lee. Just can fucking get Stan's signature on and sell it. And you think about this, going to lots of cons, and he would have plenty of merch to sell that Stan had signed. You got to imagine how many signatures that is, right? That he's getting on a probably a regular basis. He's not making him sit there at the conventions and sign like those other fucking guys were. We got all that video, the horrifying fucking video of Stan, but like he's, I guess, at the house hanging out, saying, "Hey Stan, can you sign this stack of shit for me? I got a con coming up or whatever." Fucking upsetting. Here's promoting his artwork at San Diego Comic-Con. Here's
I don't even like looking at this dude. Like I can't even look at his face. Like
upsetting.
This is someone that watched an elder person, one of the greatest creatives in comic book history, if not the greatest, and just watched him get abused and did absolutely jack shit about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, see, I don't think Stan Lee's family there's a family really to do that, because his daughter is the only one that I'm aware of. Him. He might have other kids, I'm not sure, but like his daughter JC was apparently a shitty bitch to him and his mom too, and she would like throw fits until they handed her like $20,000-$30,000 on any given day, while they're old as shit. And so I don't know what family there is left, because his wife has passed away before he did.
Yeah,
and I don't know if there's anybody.
I know when you're that old and like you live with somebody for so long, and then one of them passes, like the part of them just is gone. And whenever something like that happens to everybody, it's you gotta have to remake yourself. But when you're as old as he was when his wife passed, you're not remaking yourself. You're just where you're at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying yesterday. It's one of those things. It's like it's heartbreaking, but it's also kind of beautiful in a way. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, love is real, isn't it? Here he is with a bunch of shit that he's selling. You're probably starting to see the bigger picture. Jonathan would regularly use his ties with Stan to promote himself, even getting various signatures from him to make profit from. In the description of the Kickstarter, Jean claimed to have witnessed a thriving market where Stan's signatures and memorabilia were converted into huge piles of cash. What he didn't mention was that he was part of that very market. Speaking of John's comic shop, he's offering an exclusive cover for the comic being offered in the final chapter Kickstarter at said shop. Right there. The comics and items offered in the final chapter Kickstarter are eligible for CGC authentication for $60. However, it turns out that John himself is a CGC facilitator. John has who would be grading the comics for the crowdfunding campaign. So while I can't confirm if Jonathan is profiting off all of the CGC grading, it's certainly interesting to note. It is interesting, yes.
Mm-hmm. I'll go out and on limb and say he did, and just say, prove me wrong.
In this campaign, Jonathan acted like he had nothing to gain from Stan. However, he didn't mention in the trailer was his exploitation of Stan to further his film editing career. In an interview with Pop XP, Jonathan told the anecdote of how he met Stan. And let's just go ahead and watch that. That's at 324 and 404.
Yep. Going to conventions and what.
Whoop, shit.
It already started there when we clicked on it. That was funny.
Well, no, it was past there because I'd already watched it.
Oh, okay.
Inker for a while, and then I got married and needed real money. And Inkers out there, shout out, you know what I'm talking about. So I had to. So I decided to go to film school, and I got into video editing and production and whatnot. And I had initially, once I got out of film school, started working in documentary film. And a friend of mine was working with Stan, and I thought, this would be awesome. I'm a big nerd. I could Trojan horse my way into meeting Stan if I could film something with him. And so we sort of pitched him on the idea of doing a reality show about his travels, because I thought it was pretty fascinating that he was that point, he would have been a spry 89, going to conventions and whatnot. So that's how I got sort of introduced to Stan. But then,
God, he's disgusting.
You can't film someone so frequently.
Like, it'd be one thing if
he talked about it like he accidentally met Stan Lee, right? Like, I just ended up being introduced to him. No, you fucking schemed that, man.
And he could have honestly just said, hey, I had this, I saw Stan Lee and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to do a little documentary about Stan Lee doing conventions and stuff like that? Even if he didn't mean it, he could have just said it that way. But he is so proud of his con. He's like, yeah, man, I Trojan horsed it, man.
What it
It's
tells
like
me,
he
honestly, is
never
that I
had
don't
any intention to do that. He just
I don't
lied
think
to
he
get in there.
realizes that he is such a greasy con artist, right? Like, otherwise, why would he say this stuff? He thinks it's okay to just tell this story.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I think he realizes that he's just most, decent people are like, ugh, really? Ugh. Like, you don't have to tell all these details, and it would be in his interest not to. But I made the joke on stream that it's like, it seemed like that he started getting like, because he went on Nerdrotic stream like the day or the day after the Kickstarter launched, right? And I'm like, I'm just gonna imagine that what happened. I have no real reason to think this, but it's kind of funny to think about. That he launched it, and then he started getting people asking him questions and like kind of criticizing him. He's like, oh, wait, what? I was supposed to. Oh man, I don't know what to do. How do I respond to this? Who's the biggest piece of shit that I know? Oh, Gary, Yeah. And so he goes on Nerdrotic stream, and Gary helps him kind of field some of this criticism he's getting.
And in a little bit, we'll really cover how Gary's a real big piece of shit.
Yeah. So there's that. Decided to go to film school. So yeah, there's that quote. In other words, the entire reason Jonathan was filming Stan in the first place was to further his career as a film editor, and not with the intent of exposing the abuse. I mean, that's kind of just as a nitpick of this guy. I mean, I once again salute you for putting this stuff together, but like, I don't think that anybody was under the impression that he started recording Stan to cover the abuse. But yeah, here's the NFT thing, which is just Mintable, Singapore-based NFT platform, announced the launch of a limited edition NFT collection featuring comic book legend Stan Lee, which the image that they used was sold to them, I imagine, by Jonathan Bolerjack. And this was in 2021, so 3 years after Stan died.
And 5 previously unseen photographs and videos of Stan Lee gathered from a collection of his friend Jonathan Bolerjack. Oh God!
See, this is what the problem is with this, having this nebulous.
Oh, it's so
role.
slimy.
It's like, yeah, he started out filming him, but then I'm sure he did become very friendly. You know, I'm sure they had a good time. I don't doubt that Stan liked having the guy around, right? Especially if he's being abused by the other fucking pieces of shit. But yeah, this is a problem. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that, because old people, man, they don't have anybody to advocate for them in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you have the people who are being directly abusive, and then the people like this who are being abusive, but they're being nice to your face. And I guess when you're dealing with abuse, the people who are nice to your face could.
So think about this. Imagine Stan Lee was just some old guy. Stan Lee was not the Stan Lee. He's just some guy named Stan, some old motherfucker, and he's got some people that are taking care of him that are abusing him, or exploiting him, neglecting him, or whatever. This guy, I don't know. I feel like he probably would eventually actually do something to, stop the stuff from happening. But yeah, he literally was benefiting way too much from it to actually change it. And I looked up on stream Friday night. I was like, what is the process for reporting like neglect or abuse of an elderly person? And the thing that the state of California, which is where this stuff was mainly happening, they want you to, if you can't get direct access to the guy, which is what he claims was the problem. He couldn't, they kept him too protected, right? I believe that. But if you can't literally get the person to come in and talk about what's happening to them, then you need photograph or video evidence. The one thing this guy had fucking mountains of, apparently. And he didn't compile that stuff into a 10-minute video then and take it, because if he had done that, something would have happened. They would have, on Nerdrotic stream, he says nobody wanted to listen. Are you fucking kidding me? Nobody wanted to listen to the fact that Stan Lee, whenever it came out in the news, everyone was fucking disgusted.
Yeah.
Everybody. And
literally, arguably, and I would argue, maybe not even arguably, the most legendary comic book creator ever. Nobody's interested. I don't buy that. Nobody.
And fucking, Hollywood Reporter did an investigation on this in that same year, 2018, and they didn't reach out to him. As far as I know, he didn't work with them at all. I don't know if he reached out to them. but like that's kind of notable that they didn't have anything. What I'm thinking of this actually is yeah, I'm sure he's got some stuff on video of the guy being a dick or whatever, and Stan having to sign stuff, which is all stuff we know happened already. I don't think we need to see the video of it, right? Like, not pay $300,000 for it, not behind a paywall anyway. And that's what's really fucking disgusting about this is I don't think there's anything to actually learn from it. It's not going to bring justice to Stanley. It's not going to bring awareness to anything, that's going to benefit other elderly people. It's not going to do anything but enrich this fucking guy.
Right.
And there he is meeting Tom Holland before Tom had even filmed any Spider-Man stuff. He was practicing stunts. Cool. And then the guy that compiled this information seems to be really focused on this Club 33 thing. I never heard of it, but he's like, oh, it's really expensive. And he got to go there. I'm like, oh, okay. You jealous or?
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, the dude was a leech.
Yes. And
I mean, look, there's mountains of evidence here that show that he was being, at the very least, disingenuous with his reasoning for being around Stanley.
I remember that. Yeah, Kevin Smith and Todd McFarlane were, Kevin literally said, Stan, come live with me.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin wanted him to come just live with him until he died, basically. And I'm sure Kevin would have taken care of him.
God, Kevin would have worshipped him.
I mean, he did. They were friends. They got to be buddies. But, like, yeah, it's, I don't know. There was something about a fight over the estate as well as, the care being given to Stan in the last couple of years. There was something came out in the news right around the same time, and like all that gross stuff. It was really upsetting. And then the last video of Stan alive that ever came out was him sitting there half like falling asleep trying to sign a bunch of autographs at a table, and then that one guy's like basically has to remind him how to spell his name. And that's the last fucking thing that and that's pretty upsetting. But I don't know. It just really pisses me off, man. Like it almost seems like I don't know. Yeah, okay, went to the fucking Tokyo Disneyland restaurant. Okay, nobody cares. Millie Bobby Brown. Cool. There's with Roy Thomas's folks, I guess. Roy Thomas and his family. So, but if you want to get me on this guy's side, on Jonathan Bolerjack's side, the one fucking comic creator you don't want to get to advocate for him is Rob Liefeld.
Right.
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld's a piece of garbage.
I'm going to be as brief as I can while weighing in on one aspect of this article. So this is the Hollywood Reporter article, I guess. Or
this is from 2018. Yeah, so this is back when that article
This is when he died, actually. So
yeah.
No, Stan was not surrounded by strangers in his final days. I met John Bolerjack when he was part of the extended crew that attended Stan back in 2014, 2015. Stan had a nickname for John, Hairspray, due to his long flowing hair. You've seen John attending Stan at a show, even if you didn't know him. He looks like one of the Allman Brothers. He's skinny with long hair that goes down the middle of his back. Sounds like you fucking think he's hot, Rob. He's quiet and doesn't immediately jump out to the floor. No, of course he's quiet and doesn't jump out because he's sitting there waiting for his next opportunity.
He's a Trojan horse.
But he loved and adored Stan. Yeah, I'm sure he did for all the wrong reasons. After the Kia Morgan debacle, John was brought back into Stan's life with greater capacity to watch over him and attend to him alongside the security detail that remained in place. John kept Stan home. And so this is one of the things that Jonathan has in his favor optically, is that after all that shit started coming out in the news and it was clear that, okay, yeah, this doesn't need to happen anymore. After that video in particular, the one I was just talking about, he was never dragged to a con again, thankfully. They managed to make that stop. And Jonathan Bolerjack has a post, I think it was on Facebook or something, where he's like, Stan is not going to be doing any more signings. Absolutely not. His health is not, so he looks like the good guy in that case. Because he never needed him to be at a con to benefit from him, Whereas the other guys that were taking care of him were getting him to sign all this stuff so they could fucking sell it and make the money off of it. He was just getting Stan to sign stuff privately at home.
Yeah. Heck, he doesn't go to a con. This guy's signatures of Stan are worth more. So, again, he benefits. Again.
I fucking hate Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
So for John to act like he didn't benefit from his friendship with Stan is incredibly dishonest. It's likely that he didn't stand up for Stan because he was actively benefiting. Yeah. So Stan gave John a lot of shit, apparently. I don't know that, I don't want to assume he might have stolen anything, but he might have. After Stan's passing, John has sold several of the signed comics he received from Stan for large amounts of money, like this issue of Hulk 181 for $15,000. Anybody that's not aware, Eric July, if you're watching, I know you don't know. His first appearance of Wolverine. 9.0 grade.
You know, it's a really cool comic book, and I guess Stan created Hulk. But yeah,
no, he created Hulk, but you know,
I mean, I guess it's just a classic comic signed by Stan Lee. But yeah,
I've got my one signed Stan Lee thing is also a Hulk comic but it's much more recent and not a first appearance of Wolverine or anything. It's also not graded, so I can't really make any money off of it. I wouldn't want to anyway. I own it. I have a signature from Stan, and I love that fact. But yeah, he would just sign whatever. You know, literally Jonathan Bolerjack was selling his own art that Stan just signed. So like, it's not even about the product of being something relevant or anything. It's like, just get that fucking signature and make that fucking money.
You know, when I got Chris Claremont's signature, I got on 2 comic books because he was giving it out for $10, so it was kind of a bargain. And there are people going in there with like stacks of comic books for him to sign. And I remember seeing that and being like, I bet you they're reselling. And for a second, I was like, I wonder if I could do that. But then I was like, I don't want to.
There are some creators that will charge you extra if you do that. Like because they recognize that what you're doing is just making a bunch of money off of them. So you know they'll charge you extra. Whereas if you just go in with one comic and you're like, I love this comic, I love this, will you please sign it? They're not going to charge you a shitload generally. Yeah. So here's some stuff he sold.
Yep. First appearance of Punisher there.
Yep. Big stacks of comics, and I don't know if all these are signed by Stan, but some of them certainly were. Listen to the way he talks about this. So this is when he tried to sell a book by John Romita and Stan Lee. So Amazing Spider-Man number 1, I guess. No one wanted it at $2,500, which frankly was already too cheap. And then Romita dies the day after the auction ends, and suddenly 10 dipshits are all ready to buy it. And it's like, they're dipshits, but they're doing the exact thing that you cater to, which is they're looking for the value in the book that they want to buy. And John Romita dies, and they go, oh, now it's going to be worth a lot more. I don't understand calling them dipshits, but
whatever. Yeah, I don't understand calling them dipshits either. Yeah, it's collectible when people die. It's how that shit works.
So it's a sketch cover of Spider-Man number 1. I don't know what year that was from, but since it's a sketch cover, it's definitely the last decade or two. Signed by Stan and John, $2,500. That's not all, because Jonathan would also post about the gifts he received from Stan starting as early as 2016 with this post of him showing off a Marvel Mania International envelope with Stan's signature. You know you got too much stuff when you find this and completely forgot you had it. Dropping some never-before-seen prints, signed Stan Lee prints today with some original art. This was 2022. 4 years after his death, and he's still got stacks of shit to sell. Yeah, I believe that this man was just had grown addicted to fucking making money off of Stan Lee's name, and he doesn't know how to do anything else now.
Yeah, this is gross. Now we've kind of gone over it. This is disgusting.
Yeah. This is what I've been pissed off about for like the last few days, man. You know, and there's no way to like the most we can do is just hope that the thing doesn't get funded. There's no justice to be had here for anybody. Just trying to prevent more injustice is the best we can hope for. Yeah. And I can't help but think that like this guy's probably like a MAGA chud, right? You know, probably so.
I mean, they all are. It always seems like they.
He's friends with Nerdrotic. He's got one foot in chud for sure.
Remember, Nerdrotic isn't independent, which, like, I just saw him say that in a video recently, and it's like, dude, you were just simping for Donald Trump on your fucking Twitter. What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's check on the Kickstarter here. It was at 65 yesterday, 65,000. It had 384
still
backers. Really?
Yes.
Fucking A, dude. Oh, that's so fucking good. I love it. 65. Wow, it has 6 more backers than it did yesterday. I don't think it's going to make it because these things typically make most of their money in the first several days, and then it'll boost like at the end. And this is still the first week, and it's not looking so good, man. Have you looked at the comments on this though?
No, I haven't looked over.
Interesting.
Ooh.
So, message from Todd McFarlane. I haven't heard about this.
Ooh, did Todd McFarlane say something about this?
I guess so. I wish it was a link, but it's not. Let's see.
Okay. I had several people saying their comments weren't showing up, so I had to test it out on a couple of the channels. It looks like most of them are working, but...
A note to all those in the comic world. I had the honor of being able to spend time with Stan Lee over the last decade of his life. It was my great pleasure to have shared... Oh, sorry, let's share this. Shared many panels together at comic conventions, and I was present at many of his award ceremonies. During that time, I was able to get to know many of the people around Stan. One of those folks was named Jonathan Bowlerjack. Oh. Okay, so he's pro Bowlerjack apparently.
Ew. I don't know. Todd McFarlane, I'm yeah. He's not somebody who throws me in general. I think he's a good artist. I think that's like the thing he has over Rob Liefeld. He's a good artist.
So there's a couple of people here that are awesome. That are like they've raised some questions that are like very not just the stuff that we're concerned about, but like as far as the way that this Kickstarter is presented, it's done very shitty. As far as like the transparency, there's none. Why are they asking for money for stuff that he's already admitted it's done essentially? You know what I mean? Like why they need money for this and this and this. The guy's not responding to any questions and concerns, like valid, well-mannered concerns that people have. He's not responding to any of them in the first week. That's not a good look. So, while this is a great character reference for John, it doesn't address any of the lingering questions or concerns. Why is John not communicating? Proper update would be really nice. After a week, I don't know a whole much. So there's a lot of this. Comments that are removed. Exploiting the exploited and exploiters. Seems classy. Yeah. So he was described in an AARP article as Stan Lee's friend, driver, assistant, perhaps one of the only people in Lee's inner circle who seemed to show true empathy for a man in his final days. There have been many trials and hearings. I honestly don't think an extra $300,000 for your documentary is going to impact Mr. Lee's actual legacy or have any material impact on legal proceedings over and above what the source material itself may accomplish. You state on your YouTube that you and your friends have spent $200,000 on this already. I think that partly answers the question of why aren't all your famous friends not paying for it? They have, and I suspect they're done, bar a short endorsement for your campaign. You've gone about this in a terrible way. Do it differently. Get in with a high-profile nonprofit for the elderly like the AARP. They have 38 million members and tons of money. Make a documentary with them highlighting how elderly abuse can affect anyone, what to do and what not to do if you see it or suspect it, where the possible intervention points were in Mr. Lee's story. Stan Lee doesn't need your help anymore or anyone else's, but living elderly folk at risk of abuse still do. Help those guys. Boom. Hasten to add that the AARP article was from 2020. Okay. So this guy lays out a lot of really valid shit. Like, can you share more about the key team members involved, particularly in production and post-production? Have you considered involving third-party producers or consultants to provide a balanced perspective, especially considering your close ties? What is the current status of filming? Are there significant portions still to be shot, such as interviews or additional scenes? Why are set builds necessary? Are they for specific coverage? Can you explain the role of VFX and animation? The reward system on Kickstarter is quite complex, but the focus could the focus be shifted back to the documentary itself, ensuring Stan's legacy takes center stage? That's a good question. Because if you look at the reward system, it's a lot of shit, and it's a lot of very different stuff that you can get for different amounts of money. So when it comes to the aspect of getting money from you for this thing, he's very, very concerned with the details. But otherwise, when it comes to like what he's doing with the money or why he didn't do anything about what was going on, what was happening, he's a little bit vague on that stuff. So just like legit good criticism here. And then you get this one guy called The Implication keeps replying to any criticism, even polite criticism or questions. And I want you to see this guy, The Implication. Bro, shut the actual F up. Like he owes you any response to behind the scenes stuff. Honestly, who do you think you are? He comes back though. Don't worry. He makes another appearance. Many other appearances. Because he's basically, many of his replies, the implication are just copy pasta shit. But when it's not copy pasta, he's calling people arsler and like, wow, man, the people that are advocating most aggressively for this are like Rob Liefeld, Nerdrotic, and then this implication guy. You know what I mean? Bunch of scumbags.
Yes.
I don't know. It's yeah. Oh, the implication got one removed. Damn. Probably the one where he's calling somebody arsehole. You must not be paying attention. This is the copy pasta. Literally replies to any kind of valid questions or commentary with this. See? Anyway, it's a whole fucking,
We have a couple super chats. I think they're from Bob's channel. From Jack.
Is it me?
Why does Tony keep like? Do you have like a fetish, dude? Sorry, that's not this one. Do you have a fetish? We'll talk about you in a minute. But sorry, go ahead.
I checked that. He's not on my channel. I don't know which channel he's in.
He shows up like every fifth stream I do or something, and he's like tries to like provoke or something by saying something like this.
Well,
it's just the most try hard fucking sad shit,
Well, Jack Seashley, do you think Marvel Comics should do Crisis on Infinite Earths? I think you've asked this before. I don't I think even DC is going away from that. I think that's part of what Absolute Universe is right now.
Where's
Absolute
that
Universe
comment
telling
at?
them to explore something unique.
I don't see that. That's not the comment that's showing up for me from Jack. I see two comments over here. I don't know where that's from.
I have 3 from Jack here. I just went to the super chat section here. And then, do you think in a few years' time, Trump supporters will be seen the same ways as Nazis? Because it's definitely feeling that way now.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be a few years from now, but it might be decades.
Didn't you ask this last stream? You literally asked this exact same
This
thing.
does seem familiar, yeah.
Wait. Can I pull up what I'm seeing quickly? So
Sure.
This is the super chat that I'm seeing from Jack. Is there a bunch of old super chats left in your hub?
Oh, wait, yeah.
You have to unstar ones that are up there from like old ones. Yeah.
That's right, because we're reusing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what's up with Nerdrotic right now?
We
will go over that probably fairly shortly because I don't know how long Eric will be here, and I definitely want.
And
I'm actually not going to be here for a whole lot longer either. So
this is the other one I saw. Nerdrotic's done a lot of fucked up things over the years, but this by far is the most messed up. If even his bootleggers are calling him out, it's bad. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So now we have to unstar stuff in the reusable.
So it
after we do this.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess if it's a super chat and someone paid for it, then you kind of do owe them to, respond to it at some point, even if it is weeks later. But
yeah. Well, I tried to respond to them, but making sure to unstar them.
Yes.
I guess we want to go over the. Oh, go ahead, Dane.
Well, I was gonna say Tony shows up and he'll say some lame ass shit like that, like trying to do the everybody just wants you to move on. It's like, dude, we got 150 people watching right now. That's pretty good. We're doing all right.
He's trolling. He's
not even good at it though. let's
But
talk
trolls
about this
by nature. I mean, trolls by let's be 100% honest here. Trolls by nature are pretty fucking pathetic. All they have is just being shit heels essentially. Ugh.
or they can become president or like a billionaire.
True,
official
true. And then they can be pathetic presidents.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know how long Eric will be here, so we might want to move.
I got that video too. If you'd rather me play it, Bob.
Sure. Yours is more likely to be stable. I'll have mine up for backup.
I got it ready to go.
But yeah, so Nerdrotic actually addressed one of the points DJ has been making, Eric, right up there. And so we can go ahead and go over that. Although I think the wording Nerdrotic uses is really interesting when we go over it. But there's also a little bit afterwards I think it's worth going over because he pushes some conspiracy theory shit at the end.
Yeah, it's weird how confident he is with this shit, man.
You did not think this movie was going to perform very well, did you?
No, I did not.
He's talking about Captain America, by the way.
And it hasn't, really, has it?
No, it hasn't. No, it's I don't.
You don't mind if I set you up for some talking points, do you, Gary?
I don't know where we're at now, but the Disney didn't know it was going to perform well. That's why they floated out a lie of a.
I want just think about the way that the way that he talks about this as if he knows what Disney, like Disney's some guy that's thinking, like
one person came up with this lie and then everybody else just signed off on it, right? The other thing I want to point out is I think some of the comments I've seen in my video response to this is we already established that Disney doesn't have to give us anything. Like they don't have to announce the budget at all. They could never tell us what it is or tell us 6 months after the movie comes out. There's no reason they have to give these numbers out.
So this is not true. This is actually not even true, man.
No, it's not true. It didn't flop.
But he's been watching Nerdrotic probably. So
right. So why would they give a number before a movie comes out that they're not confident about if they could just not give a number at all or give a number later? Why would they do it beforehand?
Let me, Gary fans, you're obviously watching. Let me ask you a question. What do you think's more likely? Disney lied about the number and possibly hurt their chances to get tax rebates on this movie, on credits they could have gotten.
To own these guys.
Gary's lying.
Right.
Of which he cost him nothing.
I also want to say it's very important. He uses a word here that has a very specific meaning, which is lie.
Yeah.
This is the word he uses. In the comments for my video, people were talking about the fact that Disney has adjusted budgets later on and blah, blah, blah. And yes, all of that is true. But that's not what Gary is saying here. He is saying they are lying about it. This isn't saying that they gave out an early budget that may change later on, or it hasn't been adjusted yet, or it's not been factored in for rebates or anything like that. He said they are lying, meaning that he says the budget they are giving is a lie. It's not a real budget at all. That is a very specific thing, and it's different from saying it's an unadjusted budget, or it's a budget that hasn't been finalized, or it doesn't include XYZ. These are all things that could happen, but that's not what he says. He calls them a liar.
I want to respond to the company here real quick.
Yeah.
Because, look, you did manage to say it in a coherent way the second time. Congratulations. Buddy, do you think that observing patterns of behavior is the same thing as reading minds? I'm so sorry. So sorry that you are so limited in that way.
For example, I don't know if
Nerdrotic minds is...
Yeah. Go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to say, do you think reading minds is the same thing as just pointing out that they're flat out fucking lying?
Right.
Well, I mean, for example, we could say, I don't know why Nerdrotic is telling his viewers lies, but we know that Nerdrotic is a liar due to a pattern of behavior.
And then we can guess based on that. But the difference is we're not literally telling you that this is a fact, right? We will say when we are speculating or guesstimating or whatever it is, but we're not like Gary just saying, oh, here's a lie, but it's a fact. And I'm presenting it as a fucking fact. And I'm not giving you any other option to think anything else.
Yeah. What's up, Low Watermark? Hey, Defunct, how you doing?
What up?
But yeah, I want everybody to remember that this is not him saying that this is an unadjusted budget or this is an early budget or it doesn't account for this and that or whatever. He is calling them liars. That's a very specific thing.
Well, because, what is nuance? What is context? Who fucking cares with these guys, right? They don't care.
$180 million budget. And that's just an outright lie. Now, Disney does not have to tell the truth. You hear a lot of people say they have to tell the truth for their investors.
They do.
A lot of people say that, huh?
No.
A lot. Basically me. I think I'm the only person that said that.
Yeah.
But listen to a word Gary slips in here. Keep it playing for a little
bit.
Technically, yes. But technically, it wouldn't be a lie if you said the budget.
Technically, yes.
For the film was $180 million.
So he's trying to dance around, essentially saying technically yes,
meaning that he's lying. He's a liar.
I'm right.
He's the liar here.
Yeah,
because he's trying to make a case for Disney in the sense that they don't have to give us these numbers, and they don't have to give us these numbers, right? That's they are not obligated to give us anything, but it is illegal to release fake numbers to the public that are different from the numbers that you have with your shareholders. That is illegal. You can't do that. So he's accusing them of doing this with no proof whatsoever.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is that the way he does this, and you know, he's clever enough to know how to work his audience, except for when it came to this Bowler Jack thing, apparently. But like with this is old hat to Gary. So he presents it as, here's the thing you're going to take from this, which is the first thing I say, and that's that they're lying. Then, as we talk a little bit more about it, I'm going to throw in a qualifier like technically.
Right. And technically is the only thing that matters here. That's the problem.
But
technically
his audience doesn't hear anything else after they lie. Just, you know, so
when we're talking about raw numbers, that is it. Technical is the only thing that matters because that's it. Like you can't say someone gave me $50 million if $50 million doesn't exist, because that's not reality. So you can only speak technically with money. That's the only way it works. I'm curious. Continue what he says here, because I don't remember exactly what the rest of this says.
If you're not specific, that's very open. That could have been the budget for the reshoots. That could have been Harrison Ford's weed bill. That could have been the catering.
No,
we don't know.
They released that production
so
budget
he's
in the movie
technically
is
lying, but they
are.
So pause that there. So basically, this is what he does at the best when it comes to his viewers, right? He makes you laugh about what he's saying because he knows that it's not true. And he can get you on his side by disarming you with funny commentary. So that's what he's doing. It could be Harrison Ford's weed bill. No, they don't have to give you a breakdown, but they cannot lie about the budget of the movie. They cannot publicly tell you that it costs XYZ and then be completely different for something else that's non-related to the movie. They can't do that. That is illegal. It is market manipulation. They're a publicly traded company. This is literally illegal. So what he's accusing them of is doing something illegal that he has no proof of.
Vibes, man. He's got vibes.
It's foundation for this is a foundational element of their grift. We've talked about this before. They have a few foundational things. One of them is if the narrative of quality of the movie narrative isn't working, we have to look at the numbers. We have to look at the money, because then they can use that as one of their grifty things to do. But that all hangs on the cliff of whether or not the company is being honest about the numbers they're giving. So all they have to do is introduce some sort of doubt about those numbers, and they have a whole narrative they can paint. Because what's to say they don't overinflate? What's to say they don't do that? How about we go, oh, they're a $350 million movie. Those numbers were wrong. I believe they only paid $190 million for the movie. I have no proof of it, but I'm sure that there's probably some of that money could have gone somewhere, somebody's weed bill, something like that. Like, you could just argue in the opposite direction on any of their overinflated budgets, if that's the case.
Absolutely.
Oh, got a super chat. Somebody does.
Oh, yeah, Defunct here. Thank you. Just because I support what you do. Thank you so much,
Thank
Defunct. I do appreciate it.
You know, I've thought about this too. So like after going back to the Bowler Jack thing, right? Like I kind of had an epiphany about Gary and these guys. And, you know, I've often tried to imagine how they see themselves, because I'm sure they don't see themselves as bad people. You know what I mean? They don't think about what they do as being a con and like really unethical and shitty, I would imagine. So like, how do they see themselves? How do they justify it to themselves? It was something I've wondered about. And then Bowler Jack describing himself as a hustler kind of made it click for me. Yeah. That's what Gary probably sees himself as. He's like, oh man, I'm just hustling. I'm just, you know, I just got to say the certain things. It's like he found a cheat code. on a game. It's like, you don't want the infinite lives and infinite ammo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't take that if you found the cheat code? It's just, I got to say the certain things, and I'm making a little money. It's not hurting anybody or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's their thing. It's totally right. But also, to continue down the argument about this, if Disney could just arbitrarily make up numbers, why not wait until the movie's out for a month and then go, oh, it only cost $100 million?
Right.
Why give us the numbers months before the movie comes out? Why say it's 180 million? We're not confident in it, but we're going to throw a number out there not knowing what the outcome is going to be, when they could wait until the movie's been out for a month and then go, oh, it only cost us 100 million. Why would they proactively do it?
It's important
if they can just make it up whenever they want.
It's important to notice that these YouTubers, they're not actually clutching their pearls. It's performatively clutching their. They want their audience to actually clutch their pearls because their audience doesn't realize they're being fucking grifted. But yeah, like, Gary doesn't give a shit. If he wasn't profiting from talking about the budgets and the, you know, the intake of these movies, he would not give a shit about it.
I mean, he's gone on record saying that he makes Miles Morales tweets because they bring money in for him. I mean, like, it's just this is the kind of stuff they do, man. Well, that's the thing, Steven. Look, I want to pull this up.
Okay.
There's no reason for them to give out a fake number on a property they're not confident in, when they could just either not give that number out or wait until it's been out and then make a number up afterwards. If you're going to argue they're making up numbers, why would they make up a number before the movie comes out? Why? Could this movie get adjusted later on and they add 20 million to it because of post-production stuff or whatever? Maybe, but that's not the actual budget of the movie. They're giving you the actual budget of the movie. These guys just don't want to believe it. Does he have any more to add here?
Let's see.
Well, they changed the topic to Anthony Mackie. Yeah. So,
right after this?
You know,
okay.
We talked about that aspect of it on the Fapcast on Sunday about, you know, that Anthony Mackie is disconnected from what other people.
By the way, I'm actually surprised. There's 2 other clips that came out from that podcast that they haven't covered. One of them is him talking positively about gay people.
Whoa.
They haven't covered that one. That one's disappeared. He also talked about the idea of white supremacy in the black community. So those are 2 things they haven't covered.
See, because I'd actually seen where somebody, I think it was that JJ Trujillo guy, he was actually making a video saying that that something about Anthony Mackie is not a woke progressive or whatever, and he showed a video of Anthony Mackie in an interview or whatever saying something about, like, he basically was saying that, you know, if black men just like did what cops tell them when they get pulled over, it wouldn't be a problem, essentially, is what he was saying. He's like, I think it's been a long time since you had anything to worry about, man.
There's a very short clip of Anthony Mackie here that talks about his interactions with playing a gay character in a movie, and it's actually quite good. I think Anthony Mackie's in one of those things where he doesn't interact with, like, the internet space like we do. Right. So his dialogue comes across kind of chuddy because he doesn't really interact with chud people. So
he says that they've killed masculinity, which is what he said on that one podcast recently, and it's like, oh no. But yeah, he doesn't realize that a lot of people on the internet take that a very specific way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I guess we have to remove this. If they're not going to talk much more about this, I don't really care what he thinks about the Anthony Mackie stuff. I would like to unless you guys want to watch the rest of this. Did you want to see this? Okay.
Go ahead.
So here we go. This is the Anthony Mackie clip.
You did not think this movie was going to perform very well, did you?
What happened?
No, I did not.
No.
That's the same one.
And it...
Yeah, I removed it. I don't know what happened. All right, there we go. All right, so this is from the same Pivot podcast. And he's talking about playing in a movie from 2003 called Brother to Brother, I believe is the name of it, where he's actually playing a gay character, which I completely forgot that he was in this role. Wow. But listen to what he says here. I think that first clip that was released to advertise this was to get people to tune in. That was the whole point. But there's a lot more from this podcast that actually is good. Anyway, let's just listen to this here.
In the 90s and 80s, you grow up homophobic, sexist, and racist.
Right.
And we talking about the 80s and the 90s. That's just a fact. You know what I mean?
So he just said that the 80s and the 90s, you grow up homophobic, sexist, and racist.
Yeah.
And he's just calling it
it was a different way to be for a long time. I just thought that was just what. Yeah.
So when I got to school, my roommate was gay. Like, I didn't know how to deal with that. Like, my brother's gay. I didn't know how to deal with that. So being a man, I use my art to better myself.
Now, see, a lot of people would take like some sort of offense to him saying "as a man," as if that's somehow going against like, the idea of gender,
Right.
and equality and stuff. But I think he's just speaking from his own point of view. I don't think this is him
Well,
feeding into some larger
speaking from
narrative.
a healthy version of masculinity, which is
Right.
I'm a man, so that means I'm going to understand the perspective I don't understand. I'm going to, evolve my understanding of this. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get in here.
Better myself. I played Perry so that I could understand my brother better.
So Perry is the character from the movie He Was Gay. He was the lead in that movie, just so you guys are.
A healthy masculinity is one that goes, oh, okay, this is something I'm not familiar with. I don't understand it. It's my brother, though, so I want to understand it. I'm going to, seek out a way to understand it because I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of, getting caught catching the gay or whatever the fuck.
Right.
Yeah. So I could understand my friends better. Going to art school, a bunch of my friends were gay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, we had a record label. We had the first gay rapper. Nobody gave. You make good music. Nobody cared.
Right.
Big Frida is famous.
Here for sure.
For sure. You know what I mean? So the idea of being gay in New Orleans has always not only been supported, but it's been a part of the culture. But with me, I needed to figure out what was my holdup, what was my insecurity about that. And once I played that role, I realized everybody deserves to be loved. It's not my job to say who you love or who should love you. If you loved, I'm happy for you. That don't mean I'm gay. So Perry was more so a statement piece for me with the love and admiration for my brother, with the appreciation and respect of my friends for that culture. It really put me in a position where I think it made me a better actor because I had to go so far out the box. I had to go to the furthest spectrum away from myself to play that role.
Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because
I mean that's like we were talking about. That's like the good form of masculinity. That's him realizing, hey, I have this issue, I have this hang up. I need to educate myself. I need to learn about this so I can be a better friend, a better brother, so I can be a better man.
Same mentality that you should apply to anything in life, whether it's somebody being gay or it's like, oh, there's this thing that there's something in my life that I can't avoid the thing. It's just there now. I don't understand it, so I'm going to understand it. I'm going to I'm going to find what information or perspective I need that I don't have so that I can understand it. That's the way you
But remember, Those Guys Mates video says that Anthony Mackie's now saying the quiet stuff out loud, but they mysteriously didn't use that clip in any of their videos. So,
yeah. Fucking shit, man.
I did see here, what is it? Christian here says, Anthony Mackie is talking a bit silly now, but sure he's sure as to bring toxic red pillars to his movie. I think you're talking about the first clip. Must have been talking about the first clip.
Well, yeah, when you watch that first clip, like it does come off a bit like Chud speak, but like he also talks about in that clip how he doesn't let his kids really go too much on the internet because he doesn't like a lot of stuff
which is
and
that's what led me to believe
he does himself.
Exactly. That led me to believe that it's because he doesn't do that either. So the stuff he's saying is just stuff that's occurring in his world. So he doesn't really, I don't think he's tuning into Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? I don't think he's listening to Tim Pool. Like, I don't think that's what's happening. I think he's just talking about what's happening in his world, and we don't really get that anymore. So when you see a clip like that, you're like, he must be mimicking all of these Chud guys. But then I watched a bunch of other clips from the podcast and I realized, oh, wait, no, he's not doing that. He's literally talking about his world and how he grew up and things like that. There's another clip where he talks about supremacy and how it has a stranglehold on the black community. So there's a lot of things that he goes over in that clip that they didn't cover. They just looked at that one individual clip.
Well, I mean, you say that, but
when...
Go ahead. I was just going to respond to Reggie's comments about this. It's like,
yeah, go ahead and respond.
Yeah.
I think
like that's the church that he happened to go to, but there are other types of churches as well as other types of black churches that would not teach it really is luck of the draw, I guess. And like he went to a better one, but there's other ones that are, more focused on being shitty. But like, I mean, in one clip he talks about how he holds the door for all women. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I hold the door for anybody that's within.
I do too. That's me.
Yeah, I try to hold the door for most anybody. Yeah.
If I'm not in a rush and it doesn't take me any effort to just stop and hold the door for 20 seconds, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Just a heads up, I have about 20 minutes. So if we have anything
I'm about
else,
to head out of here.
So I think there's a what lots of these chuds like to do is they like to say, everyone likes to call all masculinity toxic masculinity, and no, there's a reason why there's why we add the word toxic masculinity to it, because toxic masculinity is an issue and it needs to be addressed because it's not helpful to society and it's also not helpful to the people who practice it. But there is positive masculinity, kind of being confident in yourself, but also being confident in not bringing down people around you. Recognizing that there are people around you who are different than you are and embracing those differences. There's positive masculinity and toxic masculinity. Toxic is the issue.
Yeah. And I think it's important in the role that we play in this, in terms of like the culture and stuff, that we are able to identify what is not toxic masculinity. And when people are proud of who they are as an individual and what they're doing without necessarily oppressing other people. And that's really, really important. And from what I gathered from those clips, it doesn't seem to me like he's going out and forcing these values on other people. It's things that he holds for himself. And that's entirely on him.
So yeah, I saw that part too, right? And it is kind of bizarre that he's got such like whiplash type takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's probably more representative of him being a famous guy who doesn't engage with the world the same way that the average person does.
I also think it's just kind of like dude talk. Like some of it really is just dude talk. It's like them saying things and not really thinking about it. And I don't think that's actually actively hurting any communities. You know what I mean? It's just them.
So I have a couple minute clip here from someone about this, the subject of masculinity, that I played it on the Fapcast. I'd like to play it again here at some point.
Real quick, to before we leave Anthony Mackie, I just want to state there's probably a good reason for him not to engage too much on the internet, because he is a fairly famous person. Engaging on the internet as regularly as a fairly famous person is just going to tear at you, because you're going to get toxic people at you all the time. No?
The more time you spend engaging with the dumb shit on the internet, the less time you have to become a famous actor and like maintain a famous acting career, right? Like it's just, there's no benefit to him doing that shit.
Yeah.
It's a movie from the 80s. Go watch it. So here's this. This is by a guy who used to be a YouTuber. I think he got murdered, maybe. Something about a burrito. I don't know.
This weird belief that stoic personalities are inherently dangerous and unhealthy, like men who don't constantly express their every thought and feeling are nothing but fountains of repressed rage and raw emotion, that taking decisive action and wanting to assert control over a tense situation is somehow fundamentally wrong.
Alright, this is an important point to bring up when it comes to the topic of men. The argument is not that men should be hyper-emotional and cry about every little issue that comes up, or that it's fundamentally wrong to try and assert control over a tense situation, not even in the slightest, and that's a straw man of the general argument against harmful male stereotypes. Men nowadays aren't struggling because feminists aren't allowing them to be men. No, men are struggling as they always have, due to growing up with rigid rules for what they should be. Men shouldn't show emotion, a man shouldn't cry if he needs to, men don't talk to other men about their feelings. I would know this because I am a man. It can be fucking lonely. Not because women are oppressing us. That's a whiny excuse. Rather because the hyper-masculine culture that has persisted for centuries forces men to suffer in silence. A lot of men don't have close friends or relationships. They suffer from mental health issues, but are far less likely than women to seek out help. Because again, they think this makes them weak. Because that's what they've been told. Young men also commit suicide at an alarmingly high rate, which needs to be addressed. And you don't address these issues by feeding them lies about how it's the fault of Hollywood and wokeness that they feel so marginalized. No, a good place to
So real quick, Turf is making fantastic points, and but there was something that came up earlier at work. How I feel like, especially in the United States, we need to provide more mental health facilities for people, just in general. Just even if you're okay, every once in a while, talk to a therapist isn't a bad idea, and just opening up. I think that'd be a wonderful thing that definitely we should be endorsing in America. I just want to bring that up.
start is to try and make people aware that the patriarchal systems that have held down women for so long also negatively affect men who aren't at the top. And listen to me carefully here, I'm not saying that the drinker is as bad as someone like Andrew Tate or Sneeko. No, not at all. But he's playing a part in propagating this harmful culture by telling young men that the reasons they're not happy is because feminism and wokeness is preventing them from unfolding themselves as traditional men, when in reality it's these rigid traditional values regarding men and women that have caused so many of the problems we're experiencing today.
Man.
Based.
I hope that kid's doing okay.
Yeah.
I miss his dulcet tones. But yeah, no, speaking to your point, Bob, absolutely. Like, look, every single one of us is affected by the things that we encounter in life to some small or large degree or whatever. Right? Nobody is not affected, and nobody is not carrying around some amount of shit. I don't care how great your life has been, you've got some amount of something. And it can be talked about, and you can learn to carry this around in a healthier way. Just period.
And I think it's good to have somebody to talk to that you'll have secrecy with, who was not necessarily a family member or a friend, that you can just go talk to. And
That's why I speak to my victims after they're gone.
Oh dear. But yeah, well, yeah, just mental health is just underappreciated in this country. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. No. Fucking Turf Nation, man. Good guy. What else? I know we were going to talk about Gene Simmons. I wasn't super hyped about that, but I'm down to shit on Gene Simmons any day of the week.
We can talk about a little bit. I have a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't heard anything about this. So.
Oh, okay. So at first, this story might sound like fun. I've been seeing this circulating around. Gene Simmons is letting fans become his roadie for the day. Doesn't that sound awesome?
Okay.
Whoa.
What's the
fan be a roadie?
Is it a raffle or what is it?
Oh, yeah. Here's the qualification. If you pay $6,500, you can be his roadie for a day and play one of the non-band instruments. If you play $12,500, you can play one of the band instruments.
So in every single description of every single live stream of the Shillcast, as well as at least in my videos and my streams, there are several links to several mini creators, and Turf Nation is included in that.
Yeah, he was one of our founders, so he's definitely there.
Yep.
But yeah, so immediately I'm like, wait, you paid $12,000 to be a roadie for Gene Simmons? Like,
what is
the fuck? And the fact is, this guy has been a general douchebag throughout most of his life.
Yeah. Can I be real with
you?
I'm a rock fan. I love classic rock as well, but Kiss has a couple okay songs. But generally, I just think they sucked, man. And and the fact that they're, I don't know, it's just capitalism infected a rock band or something.
It's all gimmick, really. Is what it is.
I guess I'm not quite as negative on their music, but I will also admit I have very few Kiss songs on my collection. I have their cover of God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which I thought was good, and I think that's about it. Their songs might come on, and I'll be like, okay, but that's about it. But we can go into some general douchebaggery here, because he's kind of a dick. There's a couple things I do agree with, but first off, he was a big supporter of George W. Bush. Fuck yeah. Remember when I thought he was the worst president?
Wasn't he also a big supporter of didn't he sexually assault some women or something?
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Crazy.
Now he is not a fan of Trump, so I will give him credit for that. And then he did say in 2021 that people who refuse to get COVID vaccine are enemy and called them evil. So okay, I'll give him. Broken clock's right twice a day. I'll give him that. He's from Israel, so he's a huge supporter of Israel. So we can probably guess where his stances are. He is extremely Islamophobic. He considers it a vile culture. So pretty awesome.
I think Kiss fans are a vile culture. Sorry.
Yeah. So here's where his douchebaggery really became known to me during the whole file sharing controversy. where you had some artists saying like, "Oh my God, they're tearing us down." He was one of the guys saying file sharing is destroying rock music, and he says file sharing destroyed rock and roll. That's what killed
Him and
it.
Lars, huh? Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like so many artists are talking about how they get nothing for the albums they sell, and you're complaining about, oh God, we're not making our millions of dollars off album sales. It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Lars had
to
to downgrade from a Lexus to a BMW to go check his mail at the end of the driveway. You know.
Oh fuck.
He couldn't afford to put in a third kitchen. Is really tragic.
He didn't even know if he'd be able to afford his gold played Shark Tank. The little things in life we have to sacrifice. Here is something he did that was extremely fucked up. So comments on suicide and depression. In July of 2014, Simmons made comments in an interview with Songfacts that encouraged those with depression to kill themselves.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Here's the quote. I never understand because I always call them on their bluff. I'm the guy who says jump. When there's a guy on top of a building who says, that's it, I can't take it anymore, I'm going to jump. Are you kidding? Why are you announcing it? Shut the fuck up. Have some dignity and jump. You've got a crowd. Now, he did apologize, but the very fact that, like, that was his instinct, like, when somebody's going through shit, severely fucked up.
Well, I mean, you know, that's like the antithesis of the mentality we just talked about, like, you know, get some therapy. Even if you generally feel okay, there's these people that he seemed to have at least at one point been one of them who think, you know, depression, you know, it could, because they either don't experience it or they don't realize they experience it. They just kind of don't think it's real. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of them have underlying mental issues themselves, and they don't like other people being aware of their own mental issues. You know what I mean?
Narcissism probably with him.
Yeah.
So in November of 2017, Simmons made an appearance on Fox and Friends to promote a new book, but shortly afterwards he burst into a staff meeting uninvited, unbuttoning his shirt and telling jokes. The next day, November 17th, Fox News announced that Simmons was banned for life from their he got banned from Fox News. Wow. Jesus Christ. And then we get the sexual assault allegations. He is settled out of court in a lawsuit with an unnamed radio personality who accused him of touching her inappropriately. The woman claimed that Simmons touched her and turned standard interview questions into sexual innuendos. Despite the settlement, Simmons denied the allegations. In 2019, Ace Freshley, who played together with Simmons for years in Kiss, stated that Simmons had roped his wife, calling Simmons an asshole and a sex addict.
So
yeah.
I mean, you know, there's the tongue that he's infamous for, and he's always like licking his face and stuff, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Oh, apparently he gave a humanitarian award. Oh, it was presented by Mel Gibson. So Mel Gibson gave Gene's. I don't even know the full details, but Jesus Christ.
Mel Gibson. It's like Dahmer giving an award for you know, like humanitarianism to like
what, General douchebag? What? In his acceptance speech, Simmons spoke of his own difficult childhood in Israel. Okay. Jesus Christ.
And what, we're supposed to have empathy for that or something? Just jump off the building.
Yeah. Wait, we're empathy? What? So we have empathy for Israelis, but you know, not anybody else. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I just want to go over general douchebaggery of Gene Simmons. I didn't want to spend too long on it, but I keep on seeing those stories about him like selling being a roadie, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. That's
you know, if you're gonna do a roadie thing like that, like he obviously doesn't recognize the fact that it shouldn't be about him making money. It should be about him using his status to grant one musician, most likely, or at least a fan of his music, a fucking, you know, just like a lifetime memory and experience that you know, and you've made enough money in life off of these people that you should see that as like, oh, that's the least I can do for a fan now and then, right?
Yeah. And limiting it so like essentially it has to be a rich fan as well. And it's like you can't just, you know, pick a fan. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, if it was just like a general giveaway, like party with a fan with the band for a night, like lots of bands do shit like that. They don't sell it.
that would even be some degree more understandable than like you have to pay me to work for me.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And I have a feeling he would definitely make sure that you're working your ass off the whole time.
Oh no, that's one of the things. Actually, we going into this, it talks about how he actually they run very light. So they actually, you know, part of this is part of their solution for how they have such a skeleton crew, because they don't have enough crew to really run it. So this is part of their solution. This article goes over, and it's like,
wow.
So yeah,
that's cheap. Like, it's just
yes.
Anyway, fuck Gene Simmons. I was surprised at how gross he looks now. I hadn't seen him in years, I guess. And I was looking for pictures for the thumbnail.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Upsetting looking man.
I'm sure that's his natural hair color. I'm sure it looks that jet black. I'm sure.
Is he still married to Shannon Tweed? Are they still married?
I don't know.
I think they had an open relationship for a long time.
I'm pretty sure they are not.
Go play smaller venues like other elderly bands do.
I can find that out very quickly.
Or do like, you know.
No, still married to her. Interesting.
Wow. Wow. You know, like I'm a bassist. I was a semi-professional bassist for some years and stuff. So like, I always judge a bassist, and my judgment on Gene Simmons is that he has one good bass line, and that's Detroit Rock City. Just the part where it goes no, boom, boom, boom. That's it. It's the only one.
I just noticed before we go, Bob, your little icon is still messed up at the top of the screen. I know that other people chat.
The Fapcast.
Oh, it's been like that for a while. It works fine, but yeah.
Mine goes like that sometimes.
I don't know how to address it.
I don't know what the hell it's about. You know, StreamYard's giving us these fucking
because StreamYard
features
is
we don't
glitchy.
want or you know how to use, and they can't fix that shit. Come on.
By the way, we've been sharing screens this whole time. I don't know if the audience saw any of them.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I don't know either.
That's true. Wow.
They have the chat hasn't said anything, so I'm assuming we
you have to remove a thing to add a thing.
That's so weird.
You made it harder than your.
No, it used to be a thing where, like, if we're all right to the side, we can just add new thing, and then we don't morph it all, and just a new thing pops up.
Well,
but now we
I
have to
think
morph back, then morph in.
Right. I think the reason why is because when they added in the feature to the right side of the screen, left side of the screen, they think you're locking in a scene when you add something. So you can move from scene to scene. So, for example, if we had all the videos ready to go, and we just had them on the screen. What is that?
Like we were prepared, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. But that's what I think they do. They want to have it set up so it goes from scene to scene, but they don't know how to do that without locking you in on a video that's on your screen. So
it's too loose to do that, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should be able to turn that off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that shouldn't be a feature that's always on. It should be something we can turn off.
Oh, I just realized you could hide the scene panels.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you should be able to turn that off completely. It serves no purpose. If I wanted to do a show like that, I would just use OBS as a virtual webcam and use StreamYard, which is what I do on my other streams.
Just to update, Shannon Tweed is still alive, and yes, she is married to Gene Simmons, so she's probably a piece of work herself. Yeah.
Well,
but I have to head out at 7:00.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out too.
So, yeah, I think we're good. I have a whole bunch of stuff to do tonight, but I am going to be live tomorrow, guys. We got comic books to cover. I don't know what main topic we'll do, but I'll figure it out before I get a thumbnail put together. So, be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Word.
Yes.
I do. Well, I mean, I have the Gary reel that I was going to show, but I guess everybody's seen that probably.
You don't want to use it as an outro?
Good. I mean, it's a few minutes long though, so I mean, I have to sit and wait for it and stuff. But, yeah. Otherwise, what do we got? We got, yeah, nothing Gary related.
Thanks, Low Watermark. Good to see you, by the way.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you know, fuck Gary. I'll say that. Like, it's it never ceases to amaze me how fucking disgusting this guy is, you know. And it's like with somebody like Jeremy Griggs, I sometimes feel like he might be dumb enough to not realize how gross he is.
Yeah.
But Gary definitely understands what he's doing. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, you look back at that Wired article that he did when he they did an interview with a bunch of comic owners back in 2009 and shop owners. I mean, and the stuff he was saying was very nuanced and very aware, cognizant of the conditions of the market and the types of, you know, consumers and stuff that were now starting to read comics. And it's like he had a very nuanced understanding of it. So then to hear the stuff that he says now, you just know that he's doing it on purpose. You know that he's intentionally, you know, giving a very stupid version of things to grift. And it just pisses me off.
What the internet has shown us is how deplorable people will become just for money. And that's all they're interested in. Just as long as they make that extra dollar, they'll say anything.
You know what? I wish I had time, because there's a video by what's her name? Taylor. She did an interview with the Libs of TikTok bitch a while back. She's a journalist. Yes, she's got a new video up about the rise and fall of the resistance, hashtag the resistance. I recommend watching that. I was kind of blown away by some of the people, the very well-known figures that are, you know, were in the hashtag resistance, that are essentially they've always been conservatives. And learning about those people was kind of eye-opening. And yeah. Anyway, I recommend watching that. But I gotta go. Otherwise, we would watch that now. Fucking hey, John Bowlerjack, go fuck yourself, man. That's all I gotta say about that.
And before you fuck yourself, make sure to like and subscribe.
Right.
Don't use any lube. Here's Stanley, by the way. He's got my Stanley Funko.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Fell on the floor. I'm tired. I got to go do some shit, though. All right. You guys are great. Good times. Good talk.
Play that beautiful outro.
I'll be probably live on Friday, I guess. I think. I don't know for sure what I'm covering yet, but I got a couple ideas. So.
And that's where I'm at for tomorrow.
Do what now?
That's where I'm at for tomorrow. It's like I'm not 100% sure. I know what comic books I'm covering, but I don't know what Chuds I'm covering. We'll figure it out.
You know what I'm going to play on the way out is I'm just going to replay the intro so we can see this new intro with all these little graphics.
Oh yeah, that's fine,
buddy.
There you go.
All right, peace.
I am not obliged to, that is, to address a point that doesn't pertain to the subject that I previously stated.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now?
Words are flowing out like woke Mary Sue, objective truth. They don't mean much, but nothing ever does across the grift of
Bring organized chaos on.
I'm sorry, I can't bite my tongue anymore. I'm tired of fucking idiots. I'm tired of them. Stop listening to these channels that are making you more stupid.
Actual fandom loves to make memes. He is an expert, highly skilled. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement.
Fuck off, Hitler.
What kind of American are you?